All right, I'm recording. Google Summer of Code. I think the organization is application is now finally open. Georg, you and I can do that this week. We were going to do it last week, but it wasn't open, and we didn't want to guess as to what they wanted, so we'll take care of that. I also had a talk with Till. Ray, do you know Till at the Linux Foundation? Okay, I could look up his last name. The Linux Foundation is also submitting as an organization to the Google Summer of Code. So if CHAOSS doesn't get accepted, we could hedge our bets a little bit and have something under the Linux Foundation as well. So we can still submit CHAOSS as an organization. And if that doesn't get accepted, because I'm not entirely sure what the acceptance criteria are, we may have kind of a backup plan with the Linux Foundation, if that makes sense. I think we can mirror some of our potential projects at the LF. I don't know if that gets us in trouble, but I'll do a little digging on that. Sean, I'm kind of looking at you. Projects for Google Summer of Code. There's a pull request, or is it an issue? What's a page?
Yeah, I have a note to add stuff to that page. Yes. I'll do
February 4th.
Okay.
So the sooner you could do it, the better.
I'll do that today. And
you could just, if you have your old Google Summer of Code ideas, it's on the wiki page, you could just recycle some of those.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At least as a framework.
Yeah.
To get your head in the game. That's all.
Okay.
Okay. That's that. Any other comments on Google Summer of Code?
Not from me.
Okay.
The D&I work group, I forgot to bring it up, so we didn't discuss it.
Okay. Yeah, Sean, can you bring it up tomorrow too in the GMD meeting?
I will. I'll also, I don't know who's going to, we have a first meeting for the compliance and risk working group tonight at 7 Central PM.
Yep.
So I'll depending who is there, I'll possibly bring it up to that brand new working section of the working group, just
okay.
Because I think there's a lot of potential for compliance and risk.
Okay, right on.
Development.
Okay. Cool. Don, we were just talking about the Google Summer of Code stuff.
Oh, okay.
Just kind of giving an update on that. Georg and I are going to work on it this week, and anyway, just a few minor things there. Kind of a big change since last week, or a big deal, was Georg and I worked on the governance document, the project charter.
For CHAOSS?
Yeah, for CHAOSS. It was pretty old.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really reflective of what's going on today. So if you're more than welcome, obviously, to comment on it. There's a screaming child somewhere.
Yeah, I think legal is in somebody's office. I killed myself.
That was a good one, Sean.
Yeah, sure.
So let's see. I'm just pulling up this governance document. For some reason, my internet decided to go slow. Okay. I'm gonna check. Oh, somebody beat me to it. So there's a pull request in the governance folder. Really, kind of just the long and short of it is, we wanted to attend to work groups because the work groups weren't talked about at all in governance. And we're just trying to align the charter with what's actually occurring in the project, as opposed to what we thought might occur in the project, which is when the charter was originally written. So please take a look at it. If you have comments or suggestions, go ahead and make those comments or suggestions. I also know that D&I did this come up, Georg, about ethics?
No, we worked on metrics this week and didn't discuss it.
So is that a pull request, Matt, did you say, or?
Yeah, it's in the chat.
Okay.
It's pull request 71. I think it's the only pull request in governance.
Okay.
So I'm kind of speaking, I guess, to Georg and Don here from the D&I perspective. There was discussion about including some statements about ethics in the charter. Is this correct?
I was going back to our goals document, and it actually says ethics in the mission statement. So that regards the website, not so much the charter. I don't know.
Okay.
We can discuss it some more in the D&I work group. We still have some time.
Okay.
But I might have misunderstood that.
Okay.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think it was more around kind of the mission and goals stuff. Didn't really reflect any of the diversity and inclusion bits
So
because the charter, the charter doesn't talk about the specific working groups.
No.
Other than the fact that now it is a little bit more clear that that's where the work is happening. So that's good.
Okay. Okay. So this would be something perhaps on the website. This with respect to the mission. Okay. Right on. I'll make a note of that. Okay, thank you. I have I just have a new fork of the metrics repository, and I'm going to start building out the table. I did it like a minute before the meeting, so I could say I did it. So I'm going to start building out that table on the metrics repository, which will start identifying which of the activity metrics are currently being considered in the different work groups. And then also making sure that the work that the work groups do are reflected in that activity metrics list, kind of both ways. So that's my kind of my to-do this week. So look for that pull request coming out on that. Okay.
So related to that, I sent that email to the mailing list about our long lost, forgotten metrics.
I have orphaned.
Orphan metrics. And it does seem like there is some interest in it. So what I'll probably do is contact the people who've expressed an interest and see if there's a time that we can start setting up maybe a bi-weekly working group meeting for that.
Okay.
And what I was curious about was, does it make sense for us to do that work directly within the metrics repository itself, since that's where a lot of those metrics already live? Or does it make sense? That was kind of my initial impression.
As opposed to making a new repository.
As opposed to making a new repository and then moving a bunch of the metrics there, because it seems like a lot of those metrics are already there. And with your work to figure out which ones are already being worked on by the working groups, that'll make it a little bit easier for us, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you think it's an easier way to start, I mean, do you ever kind of see it going out into its own repository or no? Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems like we have a good collection of the metrics already in the metrics repository, and it seems like I would end up, the more I thought about creating a separate repository, but it seemed like we would just be duplicating an awful lot of effort.
Mm-hmm. So what would that kind of look like? So when I think of like the D&I work group, I immediately think of the focus areas, and then obviously like into the collections of things that kind of help define those focus areas, and same with GMD. So what would this look like in the metrics repository? Do you know?
No, I don't know yet.
Okay.
I think that's kind of part of what I think we need to do when we kick this off is determine whether or not because I almost tend to think that maybe there aren't focus areas for these metrics, because it seems like a lot of them are standalone. I mean, maybe organizational affiliation would be a focus. I don't know, but it seems like we could probably what I would like to accomplish out of this is to have a place where we can dedicate some time to working on some of these important metrics that nobody's looking at. So it really is I think more of a coordination activity than a focus area activity.
I've got absolutely no problem with it.
Okay.
I mean,
I think that might create a little bit of positive pressure on the other working groups to fold the work that they're doing into the metrics repository more routinely. If there's a working group working directly in that repository. So
I can try to. I don't know. I'm hopefully in theory.
Do you mean that? Do you mean that in a good way, like a good pressure?
I mean a good way.
Okay.
I mean a good way. Like right now, because the working groups are working in separate repositories, there isn't a lot of sort of organic impetus to move the work back into the metrics repository.
Yeah.
And I think if the metrics repository begins evolving kind of on its own in a way, that will remind us that we need to make that a step in our processes as well.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
not
and I think too, because there'll be people from, so, I'm in the D&I group, you've expressed some interest and you're in the
Yeah.
GMT group. I think that will definitely help us coordinate, because there are certainly some metrics in there that we can probably just link directly to the work that you're doing in the working groups too.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I guess in that case, the one kind of to do is to make you a maintainer on that.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. No problem. Okay. I'm also interested in the group, Don, just because I like to kind of keep up with what everybody's doing. So
Okay.
I didn't email you directly, but here I am personally telling you.
Okay, so you and Brian have both personally expressed an interest in it, so I will.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I'll send a doodle out and see if I can find a convenient time for the people who've expressed an interest, and then once we find a time for maybe a biweekly meeting, we'll put it up on the website along with the other working groups.
Okay, and I applaud the biweekliness. All right, cool.
Okay.
Anything else on that, Don? That was definitely on the chat about thing. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Okay, cool. Sean, I know that you had kind of alluded to the risk group. So I think Kate Stewart had expressed interest in kind of getting that going. Risk was always one of the work groups that has been kind of on the radar for the CHAOSS project since day one.
Right.
So this is definitely...
So it's right now we're operating at kind of administratively under growth, maturity, and decline, just so that we don't have another coordination and another repository to manage, because there's only so many of us. But it's going to be a separate call. And there was a great deal of interest in Japan and Asia in general, but Japan in particular, during the Compliance and Risk Summit they had in December. So we've arranged that to be friendly to that time zone and to North America, since that's where Kate and I live. So it's going to be 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is like 2 a.m. in Spain and 1 a.m. in London. So completely unfriendly to y'all, unless you want to close a pub and then get on a compliance and risk call. Why not?
And that starts tonight.
That's tonight. Yeah, that's so yeah, if you're going to close a pub on Tuesday nights, then jump on that compliance and risk call afterwards. Brian's contemplating it. I can see that's
Cool.
The pubs in Indiana close at 7 p.m. Central, I think, too. You're muted, Brian.
And that's probably a good thing, Sean.
Yeah, yeah. If I were to live in Indiana, that would be a very good thing.
So, just for the record, I'm in Eastern time, so just
right.
down. Okay.
So it's 8.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is great. I mean, from my perspective, I think we're probably starting to hit what I would consider to be capacity from the group. So
yeah.
If Don is doing the kind of leading the stuff on the orphan metrics, which I'll colloquially call them right now, we have obviously some amazing work in D&I and some awesome work in GMD and risk kind of getting off the ground. I think it feels personally like it's starting to go right up to the edge. So
yeah, I think we're close to capacity.
So then I have something else, but I'll kind of open it up see if other people have things on their mind.
I don't.
Okay. With CHAOSScon coming up, I was just gonna see. I know that GMD, or how about that you and Jesus, Sean, are kind of working on your reference implementations. I don't know how well that's going.
I think it's going pretty well. I mean, I think that's our main objective between now and CHAOSScon, is to have an implementation of the code pilot, and I think we have that going right now.
Are you presenting that? Or are you going to do it?
We are, and we actually have both Grimoire Lab and Augur have a rising set of implementation details that are focused on what we're doing in that group. So,
it's a presentation at CHAOSScon?
Yeah, we've got both a presentation and a demo.
Okay.
And I think
We
we've got a
have that
how-to.
extra room, right?
Yeah, I think we have a how-to tutorial as well.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I mean, obviously there's work to do yet, but I think we're on track.
On target. Okay, that's really cool. Great.
And there's a D&I tutorial there as well that Daniel and I are doing
Okay.
for
Cool.
the
Is that
D&I working group.
is it part of the main track? Is it like part of that main room?
So CHAOSScon is actually just one room. So we do have a smaller room, but we're going to use that for kind of breakouts and other meetings.
Yeah,
because when we started to look at the content, we didn't think that it made sense to break it out into 2 separate tracks. We decided to keep everything kind of together, and then just use that other room. People can break out and do demos or geek out on something, hack on something, or whatever. I would say the 2 things that we could use people's help on for CHAOSScon is promoting it for registration to get people registered. Speaking of which, I don't even know if I've registered, frankly.
Actually, I know that I haven't registered myself or the developers I'm bringing. So
yep. So to do. Get registered and promote registration to get more people to register so that we can get people actually at CHAOSScon. And then the other bit is we could still use some sponsorships. So it would be nice if we could get people to sponsor for coffee or sponsor lunch. Be awesome.
I'm pretty sure I can sponsor coffee here from the university. So I chatted with my deans last week, or with one of the deans last week, and I'm pretty sure that he'll like $1,500 for coffee. I'll confirm with him after, Don, and then I'll ping you if it's a go. Or
ping Daniel, because Daniel's been the one that's kind of
sounds good.
Yeah.
But I'm being recorded saying I think that we've got it. So I'm pretty sure we have it. So yeah,
ping Daniel, because he's been the contact with the venue, and we need to pay the venue for the coffee.
Okay.
But that'd be amazing. Thank you.
Yep, not lunch, but at least coffee and all that kind of stuff.
You know what? I care a lot more about caffeine at events like this than I do care about lunch.
And I think people are always kind of amenable to go grab lunch for themselves too.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay.
I have a question. Only $1,500? That seems like a lot. I'm just
for coffee. Yeah, it does seem like a lot.
Well, it's 1,500 euros.
Not the way I drink coffee. No.
Oh no, it's not. It's not
Daniel had said it was like 900 euros last time.
Yeah, we need to sync up with Daniel on that, because when I looked at it, it looked like the venue also wanted to charge us 500 euros for the additional staff to do the coffee. So it might be more. It might be 900 plus the 500, which would be more like 1,350 euros. But I'm not entirely sure that I've interpreted that correctly, and Daniel's the one who has all those details.
Okay. Brian, you thought 1,500 sounded low for coffee?
I was kidding.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be me and Dawn in the same place.
And Brian's gonna be jet lagged, so just saying.
Oh no, I'll be in Europe for a week. So.
Oh, there you go.
No.
As far as I guess while I'm kind of on money, the other thing that was kind of in my court was to try to find money for outreachy. Do you remember I mentioned this last week? So I have a meeting with some funders that I'm going to in a couple weeks in early February, and I'm going to try to approach the subject there. And I think outreachy, I don't think the deadline is for a little while. So I think if I get some feedback in early February, that would be totally fine. What might be helpful, as I was kind of drafting what I would say, is could I maybe ask the work groups, maybe particularly D&I, to maybe give me just a rough cut of a project that a student could work on, so that when I'm talking to somebody, I could at least, give an elevator pitch of what that project might look like. It doesn't have to be any heavy detail by any means, but just a sentence or two would be really helpful. Yes?
Yes.
No?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm putting it on our schedule for Monday.
Okay.
Perfect. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Do we know how technical the expectations are for outreach projects? Are they always coding projects? Could they be documentation
not.
projects? They're not.
Yes,
Okay, so
they
you're
can
familiar
be
with the
documentation
requirements.
projects.
Okay, perfect.
They can be documentation geared, things like
Yes,
that.
yeah.
Okay. Great.
Cool.
Okay. So that's still on my list to do. Did I have anything else? I don't know. I think those are my big things, right? The governance document, the metrics repository, kind of these outreach activities, finding out how the prototypes are going. Leadership, the leadership summit. I know that I think last time it sounds like a lot of proposals heading that way. And I still don't, just so you know, for the board members, I still don't think I've heard, has anybody heard from Kate?
Yeah, she sent an email out last week.
No, but like specifics in terms of.
We don't have the date nailed down. She did send us the invite for the summit, but.
Okay.
Yeah, she said she thought Friday morning, but
okay.
That's as far as much as we know.
I'll ping her again. Okay. Alrighty. What else, folks? Anything else? You certainly don't have to go an hour. Ray, Brian, let's see who else do we have on here. Oh, Ben. Hi, Ben. You were on my. I had to push the button to see you there. Anything else from anybody else?
I'm not sure if this got mentioned, but OSCON CFP deadline is today. So if anyone's doing CHAOSS related proposals, today would be the day to submit it.
Yeah, there was one, I think, that was coming out of DNI. Is that right?
Yeah, Sarah was working on a DNI metrics proposal, and then I submitted something to OSCON. It was not metrics related. It was something else,
okay.
I think.
Okay. So yes, Ben, I think there's one thing going out today with respect to DNI. Thank you. Ray, did you have something? If you were saying something out loud, I didn't hear you.
The chat says he didn't know if his audio is working, but he has nothing else. Oh, he submitted something for OSCON, but not directly metrics related.
Gotcha.
I'll just dictate the chat. How's that?
Gotcha. All right, cool. All right, everybody. This is great. I'll see, I guess, if that's it from everybody. I will see you next week, or I'll see you on a DNI call, or I'll see you tonight on a risk call, or I'll see you tomorrow on a GMD call. So, until then.
All right, later.
All right, take care. Bye.